Hello everyone and welcome to another animation speed paint video. I know I just did one recently, but I got excited for this one and finished it really fast, so here we are with another. In fact, I'm still awake from working on the animation all day yesterday. Just finished the compositing probably about an hour ago, and I'm just excited to get this out there. So I hope you enjoy my dedication? Obsession? Don't worry about me, I am okay. And I hope you enjoy watching me animate this. The tools I'm using for the animation today are Clip Studio Paint, a Wacom Intuos tablet, and then after that I will be going with After Effects to add some effects at the end. Unfortunately, I don't have a recording of me using After Effects. I have very little faith in it staying open as I work, aka no crashing, but I will talk a little bit about what things that I use in it, so I hope that will suffice. For recording the screen, I'm using the built-in Clip Studio Paint time-lapse feature, which just sort of records all your strokes without doing any sort of zooming or anything like that. The canvas size doesn't super matter because I do change it when I go through editing, but I know when I was first starting out, I was always curious about canvas size that people would use, so today mine is 2820 by 1992. And that's in pixels. Again, this doesn't super matter. The thing that matters is that it is larger than 1920 by 1080 so that I can shrink it down to be that size later when I'm editing. Or, shrink it / crop, depending on what I do in the editing. So today I am once again animating the characters Alhaitham and Kaveh from Genshin Impact. They are some of my favorite characters. I was really excited about the response on the last animation I did of them, so I decided to make another. This time it focuses on their school days, back when they used to be best friends at the academia. The gray-haired character Alhaitham is a very stoic character, while the other character Kaveh is more outgoing and sociable. I love this pairing for a lot of reasons. Them being basically childhood friends is a big one, but I love how similar yet different they are. Mirrors, as Alhaitham would call them. And of course, their first impressions of being stoic and sociable are only on the surface. I love that both of them have a much deeper character underneath that. But anyway, about the animation itself. Of course, we're starting with the roughs here. I started off with the kiss frame, which I just wanted to get the idea out. I also thought it would be kind of eye-catching as the first frame that you get to see me make. Thought that would be fun, but I do go back and do the initial framings that I was thinking of just, Alhaitham, the gray-haired character, just kind of standing there, or sitting there, I guess, reading his book. I'm once again using an animation template. That's what the little grayish squares you're seeing are. I have the video kind of zoomed in so that it takes up more of the screen for the speed paint itself, but just know that I did use the entire template. So for the idea of this animation, I did just have this cute idea of the character Kaveh giving Alhaitham a kiss on the cheek, and Alhaitham's reaction to that, or, my headcanon reaction. I have a lot of thoughts about these characters, and I just thought this would be a lot of fun to do. I am really happy with how it turned out, so I'm hoping others will enjoy it as well, especially those who like the pairing. And if you don't, I hope you at least enjoy the animation process. I've been trying to use some more techniques that typical animators use, like not redrawing the entire frame for some of the in-betweens when you just kind of want to show that the hair is moving or, secondary animation is happening, or in general that things don't need to be stated as moving. It's hard to get out of the mindset of drawing everything in every frame. I've just done that for so long, but I feel like it was a very good thing to do here. I know when I was going through working on this, I had this feeling of I felt like I knew what I was doing, I guess, even though it was kind of a mess, because I would swap back and forth between a bunch of different keyframes. I mean, it was particularly difficult for me to follow when I was working on the shading lines, but in general, things felt pretty good. And I'm saying this as someone who has been animating for a very long time, so I have quite a bit of habits that are sort of formed over time that don't technically help me, I guess, but I'm just so used to doing them that they are second nature to do. But I'm trying to break the habits. I feel like I will thank myself in the long run if I stop drawing everything that goes on in every frame. because yeah, that just ends up in more work for me. I remember when I decided to start doing that a few years ago, it was because I was trying to force myself to actually make the in-betweens. I was like, well, I don't like doing the line art very much. It feels tedious to me. So if I don't have an in-between already drawn as a sketch, then I'm going to be lazy and not include an in-between there. So in order to force myself to actually do those, that's why I started drawing every single movement in detail with a bunch of in-betweens as like the sketch rough phase. But you know, I think now, years later, maybe I've grown out of the lazy no in-betweens phase of mine. At least I hope I have. And hopefully this workaround with actually doing things how most animators do them is going to help me with my experience now of doing all the in-betweens instead of being lazy and leaving them out. Hopefully forming the new habits of what you're seeing here will help me to stop wasting my own time, basically. Even though it is a lot of fun animating in general, and I really do enjoy doing rough animation, a million in-betweens and all. I've said this before in previous speed paints, but rough animation is truly my favorite part. For me, it's just so fun to get movements down. I think I definitely have to get used to this new method, because I can tell that the movements kind of suffered with this new way of doing things. But you know, hopefully I will get better in the future. I mean, I'll try my best to keep these things in mind that I'm noticing that I'm unfortunately doing, which is particularly the secondary animation, which is sort of suffering, I would say. But I've never been super good at secondary animation, so I guess it's always been a weakness of mine, which is pretty common, I feel. I feel like the thing I prefer to do tends to be like larger actions rather than the more subtle movements. Although I do spend a lot of time enjoying myself doing the subtle movements, often overdoing it, which is not necessarily a good thing, but sometimes I get carried away. So I guess subconsciously I really like doing them. Maybe it's just more exciting for my brain to see the bigger motions in movement. Anyway, at some point we swapped segments of going from the line art and the shading lines to now what is the coloring and the filling in of the shading. Anyway, as usual, in the line art phase, I was using a 2-pixel binary brush because of my intention to go in with After Effects using OLM Smoother to smooth out the line art and add a bunch of different effects in the compositing phase. And I'll also explain a little bit more. I use the binary brush also because it makes filling in the colors much easier than using like a brush that has anti-aliasing, which that's just sort of a fancy term for the normal way a brush looks that's like not binary style in most art programs. Luckily in Clip Studio Paint you can adjust the threshold so that the little white line doesn't appear, but I just find it generally easier and more convenient if the line art is already binary style so that it is just easier to fill. It's also a pretty common way that anime in particular does its line art. Now that we're at the end, I can sort of talk about the things that I did in the animation. I was really excited about the blushing that the character does. I thought that would be so fun. I always love when cartoons do that, and I thought it would be so adorable for this character to do that. I also wanted to include his little, what people generally refer to as his hair sprout, going into sort of a heart shape, which is also a pretty common thing that people do with this character. So when finishing up everything, I did, as I said earlier, go into After Effects. I added a random library background. I already had these assets beforehand, so I just sort of reused them. And in After Effects, I used like some brightness and contrast, fast blur, OLM smoother. I also used inner shadow, but set to screen with a light green. That's the little glow outline that the character has. And I did a bit of camera movement. And in case you were wondering, yes, it did crash at least once. Oh, After Effects. I love ye, and yet you do this to me. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this. I had so much fun making it. Obviously, I am still feeling the hype of having finished this like a little over an hour ago and everything, after working all day on it yesterday, so I really hope you enjoyed. I know some of you who watch my speed paints are animators too, so let me know what you've been working on. I'd be very excited to hear. Don't forget to subscribe, and maybe do the hype thing. I see that mobile users are able to do that. But otherwise, have a wonderful day.